So where the heck is the fuel pump located on my 1994 Nissan Sentra B13? Well, a little research tells me that the fuel pump is located underneath the rear seat. Sort of right back there, kind of in the middle. So we got to take our rear seat out to get to it. So this is a 26-year-old car now as of 2020. It's a great little car with 98,000 original miles on it, and it's a keeper as far as I'm concerned. So a few years ago I decided to buy a fuel pump for it and an alternator for it and just carry it around in the trunk. But I never experimented to see where the location of the fuel pump is at and what kind of tools I would need to change it if I were out on the road. So that's something I'm going to do today, is to locate the fuel pump and see what I would need to actually change it myself if and when I change it in the future. Everything is working just fine on this car. It's in great shape, but I definitely want to familiarize myself with the fuel pump. So this is a fuel pump that I bought several years ago, and I've been carrying it around in the trunk. It was relatively inexpensive. We got this big part here, we've got a filter, and then we've got a bunch of little parts. There's a bunch of little screws in there, and there's some wiring, and a sleeve, and a piece of fuel line, and this cap, and just stuff like that. And then of course there's instructions there. So I don't know, I want to get in there and have a look and see how much of this I can see, and just try to figure out what it's going to take for me to be able to swap this out alongside the road. I think that's a good thing to do. So first things first, let's get this rear seat out. Alright, to get the rear seat out, I simply pulled on these tabs and that releases it. Releases this part of the seat, and then you just simply take it out. Very easy. Pretty clean back here, and there appears to be the fuel pump underneath that black part. So now we got to take out this part of the seat, and I see a screw right there and a screw over there, and that looks like it's going to be a Phillips, as well as those are going to be a Phillips. So I'll definitely have to keep a Phillips with me in the car. So, well, that wasn't very easy. At 5'9" and about 250 pounds and 60 years old, I found that I don't fit back there very well. That was actually pretty difficult, because you got to get back here and lift up on this whole thing and pull it out, because there's clips back there it's got to connect up to. And now with the back seat out, you can see those clips a little easier. That was actually pretty darn difficult. Well, now we've got this black panel which separates the in cab area with the trunk. So now I've got to get in there and pull that black metal pan off and have a look in there. Well, I found having a little pillow back here certainly makes things easier on my knees. So I tried to break those loose with the Phillips, and I could not get those to come loose. They're pretty tight. So they are a 10 millimeter, so I'll have to keep a 10 millimeter wrench on hand. Well, even with the pillow, that certainly helps my knees. It's tough in here at almost 60 years old in this little spot. So I got all of those bolts out. A socket would have worked too, a 10 millimeter. I have both, but once you loosen them up, the Phillips will take them the rest of the way out. So now we got to get that plate off of there, and I could not pry it loose with my hands, so I will also need a slotted screwdriver. Okay, I've taken the little access hatch off, and as you can see, I can't really make any identification here whatsoever. So my next step would be to unplug the two wires, the two harnesses there, and then underneath that flat little piece of rubber or 2 fuel lines. And then I would have to unscrew all those bolts and take that thing off, and then I would be inside the gas tank. That's not what I was going to do today. I just filled this car up with gas 2 days ago. It's got a full tank. It would be just impossible right now to change that fuel pump. So I pretty much wasted my day trying to do this. And believe me, I thought maybe this would be a good time to change it, since I've went through all this. And it would be a good time to change it, only I've got a full tank of gas. And I just want to know if the parts I have, the new parts, are the ones that go in that tank. But I can't tell. So I'm going to have to do some Google searching and maybe try to compare parts numbers and just see if that is the correct part I have. But actually changing out this 26-year-old fuel pump is going to be another day, because I want the tank pretty empty. And it's going to be a lot of work. I'm having trouble being in here on my knees like this. I'm too old to do this kind of stuff. So perhaps I should take it to a shop and have them do it. But my 26-year-old fuel pump is not going to last very much longer, and I don't want to get stranded and stuck. But I think this would be too big of a job for me to do alongside the road if it came down to that. So in looking at the instructions that came with the new fuel pump, it basically is telling me that I gotta take the fuel tank down from the other side, and which would be impossible because you have to access it from the inside. It doesn't say anything in there about accessing it from the front or from the inside. And then you see you're pulling out this big mess of stuff and so forth and so on. So I think this job is a little bit too much for me. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please share your 1994 Nissan Sentra fuel pump stories down in the comments. Thanks for watching.